Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, you can start.
Hare Krishna. You able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I hope you all was there when I discussed about gold. Or some of you was left out, I don't know. Okay. I hope I'll begin from gold. Okay. So we were discussing about various asset classes, and gold was traditionally passed on as good investment, and we used to get gifts by way of gold articles. Okay. So, but then in an investment viewpoint, gold is not an investment which appreciates that quickly. Okay. So over the years, if you see, like say, if you see for a very short term period from last year, say 2018 November, from 2018 November till May 2020, so almost 1.5 years, gold has appreciated around 45%. Okay. So we always think, okay, why is he saying that gold is not a great investment? But then this is only a short term growth, where after this growth, gold may remain like this and for many years. Okay. So if you take 2011, I remember 2011, the gold price is around 2,000 rupees per gram. Okay. The 22 karat gold was, the weight, the cost of 22 gram, 1 gram of gold, 22 karat gold was 2,000 rupees. And till 2018, it was only 3,000 rupees per gram. So over a period of how many years? 7 years, only 50% has appreciated. So that is like very, it's like 7 years, it takes around 10, it actually below 10% appreciation of, appreciation the value of gold. So gold is good as a hedge against equities because it is a very stable asset, because it doesn't reduce, it doesn't erode its value even when economy is going down. So that's why you would have seen gold prices are rocketing up, because economical situation, financial situations are dicey. So right now, gold is good. If you're holding gold, hold on to it, but then never consider as a recurring investment. Okay. And coming to fixed deposit, this is something everybody says that, okay, this is the best thing since we have no risk associated with it, as bank promised to pay fixed interest rate, which is regulated from time to time, and we never have a fear of losing the capital. But then the problem with this asset class is that you get a meager return. Like say, I think current rate is 6.5%. Even even when our inflation is around 5% or 4.5%. So inflation adjusted return is rather very tiny, like 2% or 1%, 0.5%. So such an asset can't help us build a corpus. So we can keep fixed deposit when we are too risk averse, when we are really old and we can't function. We can just go to bank and take money. Okay. Otherwise, we should never. Or for immediate needs, we can actually secure in fixed deposit. But then for long-term needs, we should never be considering fixed deposits. Okay. And real estate is one thing which has a varying opinion because it depends on the city and the commercial angle of the property. But then it's a very cumbersome asset to buy. It's not easy like a gold. It's not easy like buying gold or fixed deposit. You have to see and engage a lot of people, and you have to verify the authenticity of the property. And even when you have invested the property, if it doesn't increase, if it doesn't appreciate, then you are taking a huge risk because the property, when you buy for 50 lakhs, you even at 10% of return, you're expecting it to grow 5 lakhs every year. Okay, so if it doesn't grow at that rate, then your invested money is actually sitting duck. So real estate has to be considered as a need. Okay, if you have to live in a house, that can be justified, but then not as a investment option as such. Okay, so that leaves us with equity. Okay, so equity is the one which I consider as something which can help you in long-term wealth creation. Okay, and for those who are a little more defensive or little more risk averse, they have debt markets, which are nothing but secured investments, and the return will be little. It will be markedly less than equity. Okay, so for your information, hello, chat. Okay, for your information, I also given a chart where you can see the cash, the risk return comparison. Cash, when you have cash in hand, it doesn't produce anything. Like if you have, like normally people keep cash with them. We used to keep cash with them before demonetization was happening, because most of them were what we call tax evaded money. Okay, so they had no way of keeping it other than with them. Okay, with personally in Almiras. So cash is something which is zero risk because it's at your disposal. You can take it whenever you want, but then it is zero return. It actually erodes in value due to inflation. And fixed interest or FDs are equivalent debt securities. They have little more risk because somebody else, and if that bank collapses, you have a fear of not getting your money. Okay, the property, somebody can actually ransack your property and claim that their own or family inheritance. Somebody else came, they can put a case against it, and this can be in stay for a long time. So even though you have spent money, you may be in a position in which you can't use it, okay, for your thing, or you can sell it. And shares is something that basically these are pieces of business for sale. Okay? The TCS is selling, TCS has the stocks. That means you're buying pieces of business of TCS. Okay, so when we invest in those shares, they don't guarantee any return, because if a company goes totally bust, they are not liable to pay you anything if you're investing in shares. But then if it is having profit and yearly dividends are declared, then you get a portion of the profit. But the main interest in equities or shares is that their value goes and up with their performance. So that's where the wealth appreciation happens. Okay, so this is what in general that we have, and there may be some asset classes which I haven't depicted. That is because that is not in our immediate scope of discussion. Okay, so with this, I'll go to the next slide. Before that, I'll just stop for 1 or 2 minutes for any immediate question. Okay. Detailed ones I can take in the end, but then anything which can be shared now and which can help you understand things in the next slide. Another Baldevu, can you open up for 1 or 2 minutes questions?
Okay. So you can please raise your hand if you want to speak, or if you have a question, you can even text me in the chat, or you can speak. If you raise hand, I will unmute yourself. So there is a question.
Uh-huh.
How much percentage of saving one should invest in stocks?
How much percentage wise?
How much percentage
Okay.
of saving one should invest in stocks?
Okay, I'll cover it detailedly, but then I'll for simple answer is the money which you don't need for next 10 years, that much percentage, say from your salary, say your salary is around 1 lakh and you have accounted for 10-year needs uh, during this period. Okay, and if you think that okay, this 20,000 or 30,000 you don't need absolutely for 10 years, that will like say after 10 years my son will be grown up, he will have higher education, maybe I'll need them. In those much, I mean that much percentage you should be investing in stocks. Basically nothing which is short term, nothing which yeah, prompts you to withdraw early. So you should have something for, say you have some needs which are long term and for which you need to save. Those, that percentage should be allocated to stocks. Okay, and you'll know why I'm saying this when we discuss the next slide. So this is about stocks. My savings, say somebody asked me how much should I save. Minimum normally we say that you should save at least 20% of your earning. Okay, now I can't say it as a general rule because somebody is earning 15,000. I mean, maybe he's making, I mean, he's making his ends meet with very, very great difficulty. So it depends also on this earning capacity and how much liabilities he has, like many other parameters. Okay, so these are all ballpark figures, and you should tweak it according to your life situations. And we can even have one-to-one like discussion. Say, okay, I have this thing and I need to settle it for this much. Okay, so that we can take it detail. Hope this answers.
Okay, Prabhu. So
Okay, continue. Or
you mentioned something LAS. Can you just elaborate it? LAS.
it is called a loan against security. Security can be like shares, mutual funds. Okay, so what it means generally means that whenever you take a loan, they generally secure it with some collaterals. Say gold loan. For gold loan, you are actually giving them gold and you're taking uh, some equivalent money as loan. Okay, they always give. Suppose the gold, uh, the rate is going on as 4,000, they will give you 3,000 for a gram, because they know that okay, if you don't pay the money, like the loan, the whatever money loaned amount, they will recover it from the gold that you have given. Similarly, for home loan, the home is a security. That means if you're not paying, the bank will attach the home in their name and they will sell it and recover money. Similarly, we have something called this loan against security, where you are given loan based on the mutual funds that you uh, possess. So they will give you up till 50% of them. Say if you have mutual funds or loan stocks worth 1 lakh, they will give you up to 50,000 rupees. And that will be like a current account, and you can withdraw money as and when you need. and you have to pay interest only on the amount withdrawn from that account. So that's what is about loan against security. Clear, bro?
Okay, Prabhuji,
Hello?
you can continue.
Okay, thank you. So I hope we don't have much issues till this point, and this is where the whole picture will come more solidified. Okay, and taking from wherever we were in the last slide. I mean, our aim is not just to continue working and just satisfying the bills and other things in our life. I mean, not just meeting end to end. We also need to find a balance where we can actually uh, live without earning, or live with less earning, or completely continue earning without much stress. And whatever way you mean the freedom of expression or you want, you can choose. I mean, you should have a choice like that. So now majority of the people say that, okay, I'm actually I actually want to continue this, but then my job is stopping me. Okay? So such people should they should definitely consider investment in much more aggressive way. So I am just going through different investment options in mutual funds. Okay, because why I'm not staying stocks is that stocks needs a lot of energy, studying the market, uh, I mean, being updated with day-to-day affairs, and you have to do considerable research. And many of us, with our current I mean, job situation or family responsibility, may not be able to completely devote the amount of time that this demands. Okay, stock investing demands. So mutual fund, on the other hand, is actually managed by qualified people. Uh, I mean, they are very much into research. Like they spend crores of rupees in uh, analysis and buying things and all. So they expect they also charge a fee. Like normally, you charge around 2 to 2.25% of charge in the as a fund maintenance charges. So what we are doing is that when we subscribe or when we take mutual funds, when we invest in mutual funds, we are giving our money to somebody who's professionally qualified to invest in stocks. I mean, the guy at the asset management company or the different mutual fund portfolios, what he basically does is that he will have a huge corpus of money to invest in different companies. So in our case, since we lack the financial acumen, also we lack the size of fund, because many companies, I mean, we may be able to buy some companies, but then we won't be able to diversify in the scale which a mutual fund does. So one way, with a small, say, even with 500 rupees, you can buy units of mutual fund. So with a very small amount, you can actually buy into stocks. Basically, you're buying stocks, but a well diversified portfolio. Okay, so maybe you're buying 0.001% of this company, then 0.1% of that company, then 1.1% of that company. So if you see the fund card or mutual fund um, schemes, they will actually say, okay, currently this is the companies which they have bought into. I mean, this corpus has been invested into this many companies. This much is equity, this is debt, this. I mean, this is the composition. Some are unrevealed things. Okay. So the main aim uh, that we achieve through investing in mutual fund is that over a long term, like say, I mean at least 5 to 10 years. Okay. So 5 years also sometimes things don't move much. So that's why I'm saying 10 years at least. If you can invest in equity or mutual fund, it can actually give a very good return. So in my personal life, I have seen 15% return as, while investing in mutual fund, and that too with a lot of ignorance. Okay, because I didn't know exactly what to do, but then I what do you call? I assumed a bit, so I made some mistakes here and there. So even with that mistake, I was able to achieve a 15% compound annual growth rate in mutual fund for over a period of 10 years or so. So from my experience, I think this works best. And then to tell you like which mutual funds, I mean, currently we won't have the time to exactly drill down to say, okay, this is the mutual fund which fits the bill. Okay, I'll broadly go into mutual funds and then give you the idea. You can read from the internet about in detail, and then we can come back for a discussion, and then you'll get the hang of it. Okay. So right now, I'm just covering the three major type of categories. I mean, there are a lot of categories in mutual funds. It's all regulated by SEBI, nicely regulated, and broadly we can classify into large cap funds. These are like uh, big companies like Reliance, TCS, which has market capitalization above some value. I don't remember the exact value, but then they have this classification where very big companies are called large caps, and the mutual funds which primarily invest. It doesn't mean that all the stocks which a mutual fund invest, a large cap invest, will be primarily will be in mutual fund. It will be primarily in mutual fund, primarily in large caps, but a little here and mid cap and small cap also. So a fund mostly focusing large cap funds can give you return around 12 to 15%. Mid cap funds are those companies which have a market capitalization at a medium scale. That's why mid is very explanatory. So there the good thing is that, I mean, good thing is that companies are in a growing state, and they can grow a lot more, grow at a lot more speed. Okay, so basically the profits and revenues will explode in some years. So those ones can generate you an income from 15 to 18% compound annual growth rate. Okay. So large cap funds are preferred for their stability because they're really huge, that they're market leaders. Nobody can topple them. So basically, they going bust is very rare chance. Okay, there are still chances that people are, when the companies are uh, bankrupt, big companies, but then there are very, I mean, compared to mid cap and small caps, large caps are fairly stable. Okay, so coming to small cap, these are like small companies which are very like 100 crore capitalization or little above till mid cap, and these are companies which have potential, but then they haven't yet showed the potential. So they might become a hit or a miss. It's like it can go either way. So it can go completely out of the horizon, or it can actually come brilliantly shining. So now this, because of this risk associated with it, some companies will outshine, and which funds they identify those companies, and those funds can generate a huge return, like 18 to 24% is a very conservative figure. The problem with this figure is that some years this will be negative. Okay, some year this will actually go to 40%, 50%. But then this is a conservative figure over a period of 10 years, and the 10-year is a good period. And then you can get 18, 25%. Okay. So these are guidance figures, and this is nothing concrete. Okay, these are based on their past performances. So now this nothing, no guarantee that the performance will be emulated in future also. So always there are risks associated with it. And the main reason the risk is mitigated is because the term during which you're investing, like during the length of the term. See, if you're investing in a small cap fund for 1 year or 2 years, there are chances that you will lose money. Okay, and mid cap also, like, I mean, all those funds have almost same chance of losing money if you're investing for fairly small amount of time. But then as your investment horizon or the time period elongates to 10, 15, 20 years, the compounding can work, and companies which are going low can also recover and can post good returns. So uh, the patience is the key. Basically, the patience, and you still have to monitor things. You have to still do some weed plucking, readjusting portfolios. But then generally, long-term period, you have almost zero chance of losing money, and you have high chance of appreciation. And the other thing about mutual funds is that it's like anytime liquidity. Say you are in a very difficult situation. Your plans are in work well in some other situation, in some other areas, and you really have to draw money out of it. Okay, so if you have invested in real estate, then to sell the land, to get the money from the sale, that takes considerable time. Sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes years. Okay, so it's not a liquid as such. So that is not preferred when you have uh, immediate needs. Okay, so but then in case of mutual funds, the money is in your hands in 2-3 days. You you can redeem the money, and whatever is the market rate, you will get it then. But if the market is really down, then redeeming the money is not a wise decision. In that time, I will advise you to go for a loan against that, because you know that, see, there are gains which are realized and unrealized. If you don't redeem anything, there's only unrealized gains. That means right now the market situation is very low, like Sensex around 30,000 level. Okay, it was actually at around 42,000 earlier, in January thing. So now it is actually going. Okay, if it's hello, yeah. So now it's at 30,000. So you may feel that, okay, now I need money, but then this is not the right time to withdraw. So then you don't realize that, you don't redeem that. You take a loan till the time you can safely cost along, and when it really recovers, you can actually keep continuing. You can keep paying the interest, because this is like, you don't have to uh, pay the principal anyway, because the bank have your security. I mean, you can't sell your security without their approval if you have taken loan against security. So it's like a cushion. Like, that's what I said. This can also be considered as a emergency fund for your needs if you have sizable sizable amount invested in mutual funds. The only thing is that you'll have to take loan, but then at least you can get loan without asking any friend or relative, anything like that. And the other thing about this is that this is well diversified. Like, say you take one scheme, it would have invested in 30 to 40 companies. So if you invest in at least 5 firms, you are already investing in 200 companies. So that's like a very well diversified portfolio. Still things will fail, but then not everything will fail at the same rate or same time. So you will be having some cushion to rest, and when things are really good, everything will shine all together. Okay, so then you can withdraw and park your money, uh, and yeah, you can recover some gains from that. Okay, so the route to investing, I mean, the way I have invested was through SAP, because from monthly salary we can save some money. And if you can save around 10,000 per month, and if you can invest regularly for 20 years, the calculation says that you can build a corpus of around 1.5 crores in this 20 years period. And this is considering it gives the return is around 15%. Okay, that is very much possible if you are investing in large cap, mid cap, and small cap altogether. Okay. So on the other hand, if you have steady money, say you have some inherited money already sitting with you, and you haven't invested already for these years, all these years when you're employed, you can invest also a lump sum amount of 10 lakhs for 20 years, which will also earn you almost same corpus. It's 1.6 crores. So 1.5 crores in corpus, if if left in the market, will generate 15% year on year on average. Okay, it doesn't mean that every year it will generate 15%. Some year it will generate only 4%. Some year it will be 6%. Some year it will go 32%. So on an average, it will generate. But then when you have a large corpus, you can actually tolerate some amount of uncertainty. Okay, because with this 1.6 crores, even if you consider 10% return, it's around 16 lakhs per annum. Okay? And out of 16 lakhs, if you're consuming 10 lakhs, say 1 lakh per month, it's still 12 lakhs consumed and 4 lakhs uh, again invested back. So your money grows even if you're consuming out of this corpus. Okay, so that's what I was thinking about as a retirement plan, because we are not waiting for a miracle to happen one day. Okay, somebody got a jackpot, but then small advantages every day, it will accumulate, it will compound together to make a huge corpus. And somebody who has a bigger necessity, or say the retirement sum should be more. So somebody say that, okay, I have a lifestyle which warrants me to have a lump sum of 3 crores. You can invest in that way. So instead of 10K, you can invest 20K, provided you have savings. Okay, so this is what I have thought for today. And I know there will be a lot of questions, and I'm happy to answer all in whatever in my capacity. Okay. So I'll stop here and I'll let Anandabaldev to unmute you, and you can shoot. Prabhu, hope you are there, right?
Yeah. So,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Babu. So
Yeah,
I
Prabhu. Yeah.
request everyone to raise the hand if they have question. And what question I have already got, I will read that. Meanwhile, others can also either they can text me here in the chat or in the WhatsApp, so I can read. If you are raising hand, I will unmute you. First, I will read this question which I already got. Question from Maruti Prabhu that in the inflation period, if person is having 50,000 per se amount, so what is your suggestion? He should put that 50,000 in FD, or there is any other good option? This is during inflation.
Sorry. Inflation is there all the time.
So in the inflation period, if person is having 50K, then what is your suggestion? He should put that in FD or any other good option?
This 50 is on a monthly or a yearly? What is? I'm not.
Maruti Prabhu, I will unmute you. You can speak and
Yeah, maybe Prabhu can speak.
make sure there is no background. I will unmute and you can speak. Your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Sorry, bro, I'm not able to hear you. Okay. I'll assume that, say, 50,000 is something which you don't need for long term. You have to invest in equities. Okay. So long term, 5 years or 5 to 10 years, or okay, if that is the term that you're looking for, you should invest in equities. If you're looking for a short-term need, say for 1 year hence or for between 2 years, you need that money, then 50,000 should go into FD or even debt funds. In markets, there are securities like bonds and all. You can even invest in that if you're comfortable with debt. This thing there, the return won't be so much. It'll be better than FD. Okay, so considering an immediate need, immediate means doesn't mean very immediate, like 1 or 2 year. You can consider debt funds, even mutual funds. There are mutual fund schemes for debt funds also. So say you get 8%, 9%, 10% return in that. Okay, depending on the quality of bonds that you, bond that mutual fund has subscribed to. Okay, so we can work it in detail, but then this is what I will think of if I have 50,000 for immediate. Yes, bro. Any other question?
Yeah, 1 minute, Prabhu.
Yes, bro.
So
Before we, it makes sense, right? I mean, I don't know whether I went through it very quickly.
okay, so
Maybe you can share the feedback to Anandabal. Yeah, tell me.
Now, there is another question. Is it appropriate
Uh-huh.
way to invest in real estate?
Uh, See, if you're seeing a good opportunity, it should be really good than stocks. Then you should invest in real estate. Everything is evaluated based on the ability to uh, appreciate it. Like if real estate really appreciates, say in your area, say suppose a land worth 5 lakhs is actually for sale because the landowner daughter's marriage is approaching and he needs real money now, and nobody is having money, is like he's in distress. Normally we call it distress sale. So that guy is like ready to sell it somehow at whatever money he gets. Say he's ready to sell this 5 lakh land even at 2 lakhs, and you think that can appreciate, and then we should actually invest. But then should not happen that prime property, uh, which is already 1 crore, and because of this ticket size 1 crore, and it is not going to appreciate. Like say 1 crore will appreciate only 1.05 in 1 year, so there's only 5% appreciation. We should not go for such properties. And so that's like, because your money is blocked, and a huge amount of money is blocked in an avenue where the return percent is very small. So based on that, you should take it. I'm not against real estate. Real estate depends. Because stocks, I'm saying every time you go, because stocks also there are, yes, there are stocks and mutual funds also. There are some mutual funds which are underperformers. Then we should actually shift. So generally, mutual funds are preferred, but then there are also some schemes which are really bad performers. So I mean, we have to reallocate things as you see that okay, it's really performing bad year on year. But then reality, the lot of parameters depends on reality. I mean, real estate space. So we have to evaluate those and see what is the return opportunity from that. So based on that, we should take a discussion. I mean, decision.
Okay.
Yes, bro.
So there is another question. I will unmute Ritika,
Okay.
Canada. So I'll unmute. She can speak her question.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So my question is, during downtimes like this one must not withdraw the money. But my question is, should one continue to invest the money on monthly basis?
Yeah, I think this is one of the best time to invest money. I mean, this time, if you have like, even if you can sell your some things, I mean, some valuable things and buy stocks, then it is advised. Why? Because actually stocks are beaten down, and the only thing we don't know is that if it still goes lower, then we should wait now and to buy later. Okay. So these things are like once in a decade opportunity. Say we had last downtime in 2008, where the Sensex was down up till 8,000, 7,500, that level, because it was in 24,000 level, and it almost like dwindled to 33%. So that time, if you had invested, then we would have made much more money than regularly invested. But this time, at least we should not stop whatever investment, say whatever monthly investment through SIP or lump sum investment what we are doing. We should not stop investing. We should continue investing. And if you can invest more, if you have lump sum money, then you should consider investing in some phases, say some 20%, 25% now, and after some months you can invest, something like that. So it's not a bad idea at all to continue investing. I hope
And
it clears.
yes, it does. And my second question is that, so when we invest in the stock prices, are we supposed to, what kind of risk one should take? Should one take a low, medium, or high?
Basically, based on, I mean, normally we say that depends on your risk appetite. But then actually based on your immediate financial need, say, and your own capacity to understand the market. Okay? So the risk